I find this to be very inspiring. And I think that after reading it, a lot of people want to know, okay, how do I apply that to my work?
Yes.
I mean, as I said to you, Melody Hobson, big businesswoman, said to me that she uses it in her work with her employees.
Yes.
So you believe that this principle of being unreasonable in your generosity and your hospitality can apply to any service, any organization.
I mean,
and the field guide, which is coming out next year, is to tell us how to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. Unreasonable hospitality is the why. The field guide is the how.
Oh.
But it's been wild over the past 3 years, hearing stories from NFL teams and financial organizations, prison systems, school systems, retirement homes, hospitals, UPS stores.
Yes.
Of the experiences they've created for others that have been inspired by the book. And it's so cool when you hear a story about something that I don't think I ever would have been able to do.
I just thought paying the parking meters was a great idea.
Yeah.
Share that with our audience.
So one of the real paradigm shifts in the book is you can systemize hospitality. If you have your eyes open wide enough to identify simple pattern recognition, the things that happen over and over again, and then decide what is the most awesome way to respond every time that happens, you can create magic all the time. And so when this is back in the day when meters in New York City were still coin operated, we realized that guests would have to run out in the middle of their meal to go fuel the meter. And that breaks the bubble that we're trying to create. And so we just implemented a system. When we were bringing people to the table, we'd ask them how they got to the restaurant. And if they took a subway or they drove and parked in a garage, okay, we don't do anything. But if they drove and they parked in a meter, we would just say, hey, you know what? Just let us know where your car is parked. And we're going to keep the meter fueled the entire time. Just sit here, enjoy the night. And just a little...
Isn't that a nice thing? Thinking that never happened to me. But, okay, that's nice.
But here's the thing. It's so simple. It's not hard.
Yeah, that's not hard, but this was a hard one. Remember the time when someone came and they had not gone sledding and you got the sleds? And I said, what?
So there was a family of 4 from Spain. We had these big, big windows. It started snowing. We overheard that it was the kids' first time seeing real snow. And so, I mean, it feels pretty obvious, right? You send someone out to a store, find sleds, send them up to Central Park after their meal to go sledding. And here's the thing. We were serving some of the best food in the world. And I've talked to so many people who do not remember a single thing they ate. But they will never forget how we made them feel through gestures like that.
Well, I wouldn't forget the sled either if you sent me to Central Park. And also there was this moment, too, I thought this was a simple moment that you share in Unreasonable Hospitality about a couple was celebrating their anniversary, and they said to the maitre d' that they had a bottle of champagne in their freezer at home, and they said, do you think it will burst before we get home? Yeah. Tell us what happened.
PSA, if you leave a bottle of champagne in the freezer, it definitively will burst. And so we did these things, like the kind of things you would do for any close friend. We got their address, we went back to their house, we took the bottle out of the freezer, put it in the fridge, and left some caviar and a note saying, thank you so much for joining us. But here's the thing. Sometimes people listen to this, and this is important. And they say, well, yeah, of course, you could afford to do it. You're a fancy restaurant. 2 things. 1, it's not about how much these things cost. It's about how thoughtful they are. That hot dog cost $2, but look at the impact it had.
Yeah.
But also, I would actually go so far as to argue that you can't afford not to. Because every dollar I ever spent on unreasonable hospitality was far more impactful than any dollar I ever spent on traditional marketing. Because when you give people stories like this to tell, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to tell them
Those people are still talking about that sled and that hot dog. Yes.
Yeah, and you end up with legions of ambassadors out there doing your marketing on your behalf.
There's your marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. Destiny, where are you? Okay.
Right here.
What do you want to say? Hi.
Hi, Oprah. Hi, Will.
Hi.
I like to consider myself a zillennial, right? So in between millennial and Gen Z, on the cusp.
So we're the same age. Though.
Yeah, we're the same age. We're here. We're here. Both 21, yeah. But I was brought up very old school. So traditional beliefs, values. So I'm loving this conversation today because I truly believe that everyone's first job should be in customer service, whether it's retail or waitressing. I was a waitress myself in college, and I developed customer service skills. However, you might not like this. I wasn't the traditional waitress, right? Because I would actually sit in the booth with my customers and take their order and just get to know them. And because of that, I really developed like those personal stories.
Yes.
And I use those customer service skills today as my career as a journalist. However, sometimes you don't meet the nicest people. So my question to you is, what advice would you give to kind of have hospitality to people who are kind of difficult?
Well, first of all, I love that you sat at the table. I mean, when I first got to 11 Madison, I did not have a ton of crazy high-end fine dining experience. And there was a regular from one of my other restaurants that came in, and I went over and put my hands on the table and leaned in to engage with him. And when I went back to the service station, the service director, who did have a lot of fine dining experience, started yelling at me in the way that you yell at your boss. You know, like very upset that I had done that, because the rule of fine dining is you don't touch the table. The table is theirs.
Oh.
But any rule, if you ask why it exists, and the only answer is that that's how it's always been done, that's a rule that no longer deserves to exist. And B, I believe the service, the food, the design, they're all merely ingredients in the recipe of human connection. And I believed by breaking the plane, I was able to connect more deeply with him, as it sounds like you were able to
absolutely, yes.
by pulling up a chair. I learned so many lessons from Danny Meyer. I think Danny Meyer is one of the true greats, not just in restaurants, but just he's one of the great men. One of my favorite lessons I learned from him was the charitable assumption. The charitable assumption is a different way of saying give people the benefit of the doubt. In restaurants, sometimes people come in and they are acting like jerks, right? And that's just
The
a
Felix
reality.
story.
Yeah, well, yeah, a little bit. The Felix story.
Yeah.
And it's a totally fine expression of human nature to decide that the people acting like jerks no longer deserve our most profound hospitality. And yet, the charitable assumption would have you instead say, maybe they're acting like a jerk because on their way to the restaurant tonight, they just heard that their wife was filing for divorce or someone in their family had died, and maybe the person acting like a jerk actually needs our love more than anyone else in the room. And by the way, sometimes they're just jerks.
Yeah.
But I'd always rather err on the side of assuming the best in someone than the other way around.
So I mentioned the Felix story because he was a jerk.
He was a jerk.
He was a jerk. But when he comes in late, no explanation.
Yes.
The first thing you say is not, oh my God, why are you late? Well, you
Yeah.
say, is everything okay?
Is everything okay?
That's the charitable assumption.
exactly.
Is everything okay? Are you all right? Is your
Yeah.
family all right?
Felix was a guy that worked for me that I gave him the charitable assumption when he was late, very, very late, into a service that was a very busy one for us at that restaurant, and said, hey, are you okay? Like, is everything okay? What's going on? He goes, no, I just didn't want to come in until right now.
Danielle.
Spoiler alert, I fired Felix. Because here's the thing, I think when you work so hard to build a culture and to embody and celebrate what right looks like, and someone is that reckless with that culture, they cannot continue to be a part of it.